Good morning, everybody.
Howdy, and here we are again, the two apostates everybody loves to hate.
No, there's some that like us. I mean, that phone call you got the other day.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
some that
Yeah,
like
Eric,
us.
yes. Wonderful conversing with you.
Yes, and several others have called, and we always enjoy talking to people.
Yes.
And oh boy, have we got one this morning.
Well, and there again, we need to acknowledge Atlantis.
Yes.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. And a big thanks to everybody else that goes out of their way to get this stuff to us so that we can get it to the masses. And so thank you, because without your help and, support, and I'm not talking financially, I'm talking about just support in general.
Helping out.
We would not be able to do this, so thank you.
Yes, exactly. So thank you, like I said, Atlantis, because he sent us an email and says no part of the world. And he has several links, and I'm going to put the links down below to this. Now, we had actually covered the QCS telecom transfer several years ago. And I will put the link down. I can't remember if it was at least one or two, maybe even 3 videos we had done several years ago. But the QCS Telecommunications Company was transferred to Watchtower, and they took it over. Now, what is interesting is that they were going to do it and redo their infrastructure for their intercommunications. I believe that was like internet and computers and the network
within Watchtower.
Within all of the Bethel facilities in Upper New York, which included Patterson, Warwick, can't even remember all of them.
No.
But Wallkill, all of them. They were gonna link them all. Now, it's interesting because back in those videos, we had this right here. Now, we had the transfer documents, which took place in 2013. And it appeared that it was just transferred to Watchtower for a very low amount. So we thought maybe a Jehovah's Witness owned it and they just transferred it to Watchtower. Who knows? But I mean, there was just something fishy. But this is what we had found last time in those videos. QCS intends to build a high-capacity dark fiber infrastructure to interconnect Watchtower's facilities at Patterson, Wallkill, Warwick, and Tuxedo. See Exhibit A, map of Watchtower's facilities, and to enter a total output contract with Watchtower, under which Watchtower would purchase 100% of the network data, voice, and internet services that QCS can provide. And like I said, we had the documents where they got permission to transfer this company to Watchtower. And then there was a bunch of other stuff we and Atlantis had found that showed they were even part of a larger high capacity dark fiber infrastructure with digital reality. And like I said, it was just this whole tangled web that they were involved in, and this QCS. And it's interesting because back then, at that time, we couldn't mention it, but we were in contact with a family, a PMO family, that had a family member that was actually working in this infrastructure rebuilding of, this fiber connection. And, we couldn't mention his name because he, was a J-dub. But we got information that this is what they were doing. Those in that area knew what they were doing. And that QCS was Watchtower's company. And so it's like, okay, well, they just bought it to do the infrastructure of just their facilities and those houses that are owned by Watchtower and the hotels they own and stuff like that. It was just to connect everything. Fine, it's going to be their own. But Atlantis has found something now. that goes beyond just them redoing or doing their own infrastructure within the organization. And that's why, he says, no part of the world. And he has the links. New York State Thruway Authority. Now, it looks like they have to do with traffic, transportation. I'm not quite sure because we don't have toll roads and, all of that. But it appears Thruway Authority, that's what this is. Because you can get the Easy Pass account on your phone and all of this to go through all these toll booths. Now, what he has found is the Department of Public Service of New York State. Like I said, I will put the links. They have a petition here, transfer of lease, the Watchtower Bible Tract Society, transfer of ownership of QCS Telecom. And this is the original transfer, and you can go and get the PDFs of the 2013 transfer when it was transferred to the Watchtower Bible Tract Society of New York. So this is right on the New York government website, the Department of Public Service. So it's not like apostates lying. Okay, now what he has found is the Office of the State Comptroller, Open Book, New York. And like I said, they have a link here with contracts that the New York State Thruway Authority has. And you can see they have contracts with banks and school districts and all of this. Well, when you scroll down on the first page to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, the 10th name down, QCS Telecom Inc. And you can click on the contract number. And like I said, it takes you to the Open Book New York. Contract transactions. Vendor name. Now vendor, that's the name of the company that is giving the service. QCS Telecom Inc. The authority name, Thruway Authority, the department, New York State Thruway Authority, contract number X010630. Current contract amount $2,193,288. Now this contract start date is February 3rd, 2022. So it just started this year, like 6 months ago. Contract end date, February 3rd, 2042. Description, fiber optic user agreement. So why is an organization that's supposed to be God's organization selling their optic assets here to someone who is Satan's world, the government, the New York government? Why? And I know Mike has this to cover, but
I'm just patiently waiting because it's so obvious.
No, he's not patiently waiting. He's sitting here twiddling his thumbs, and I hear the noise in my ear driving me nuts. And I just have to ask, how is this paying God's things to God and following Jesus, rule, I guess you'd call it, or, not to be no part of the world? So why are they more interested in money? And why would they even get involved in something like this? Who's Satan's system that's going down? And if the contract's going to 2042,
Armageddon ain't coming tomorrow.
Yeah. So why would you get involved in a contract? And what other contracts do they have with other entities, other companies that we don't even know about? The only reason we know about this one is because it is part of the government and the open book, the open records. So if they're selling, these assets of Watchtower and they get involved in business.
Well, how are they not selling a service and in being no part of the world. Quit touching the unclean thing. How is it, Jehovah's Witnesses?
Well, I know you're going to get into this, but several years ago, like a decade or two ago, they were encouraging not to get involved in the internet because it was Satan's world and there were bad things on the internet. And even now they caution Jehovah's Witnesses, be careful what you're seeing on the internet. Well, how many Jehovah's Witnesses know they're actually providing internet to Satan's world? And telecommunications. Wow. This also includes voice, telephone. So this isn't just Watchtower's infrastructure that they bought this company or, transferred or own this company for. They're getting involved in a business. And how is this, going to further the kingdom work? And it brings up another question. In fact, I told Mike this morning. So if they're getting involved with the state government, then how can all of us expect the state governments to give a fair hearing to CSA investigations and go after this religion and the governing body? They're not going to want to because they're in bed together.
Well, how does something like this even come about, Watchtower, if you're not lobbying for this? If you're not lobbying for this union with the state.
Good point.
Thank you. But Jehovah's Witnesses and other Christians, they're never going to see it.
Yeah. So while all of the rank and file Jehovah's Witnesses are scraping by, trying to get by on part-time jobs to pioneer and put the kingdom first, they don't even know that their hierarchy, the governing body, the board of directors of Watchtower is out there lobbying and getting business from Satan's world
to support them
and getting, $2.2 million contracts.
I know they're never gonna reason this through because they're all stuck with an ideology. And instead of looking what's behind the ideology and try to sort through it, it's too bothersome. I mean, stop and think about this, friends, as Kim alluded to. In Jesus' day, they were concerned about paying taxes to Caesar and paying the temple tax. So Jesus said, get me a coin. So they get him a coin, and Jesus says, whose image is on that coin? Well, Caesar. So the infamous words spew out of his mouth. Pay Caesar's things to Caesar, but God's things to God. The question becomes this. In the illustration of the widow's mite, who's flipping coins? Whose image was on those coins of Little Valley do you think that widow was dumping into the temple treasury? Was it the image of Jesus? Was it the image of God? Was it the image of Solomon, King David? No, it was the image of Caesar. Think it through, people. When Jesus says pay Caesar's things to Caesar, then you ask yourself, why are you giving coins, dollar bills with Caesar's image on it to the temple treasury? Think for yourselves. Recognize the bullshit that we're all encapsulated with, because that's what it is. Pay Caesar's things to Caesar, but God's thing, there's not one coin that has God's image on it. So how can you pay God's things to God when you're using Caesar's coins to support the temple treasuries?
Yeah, you're paying Caesar's coins to God.
You're paying Caesar's coins to God. Hey, what is it that Rutherford said? Religion. It's a snare and a racket. And they're using Jesus' own words to do it. Because when you take that coin that has Caesar's image, you're paying that coin to God. But they'll never sort this through. No. Because they don't know how to get away from the good feeling that Jesus saved me. Jesus is my Lord and Savior. Hey, Watchtower, I got another one for you. I really, really do. And it relates to what's going on today. You see all this stuff back here? These are the words of Jehovah.
Jehovah's spiritual banquet.
Jehovah's food. We are so well nourished by Jehovah because that's how much he loves his people. Look at, we've got 100 years worth of food from Jehovah. Jehovah keeps us fat with his words.
Not so much lately because they only have one issue of the Watchtower and Awake. New issue of the Watchtower and Awake now, a year.
Well, the public edition. So guess what, Watchtower? When we were sending those, placing those magazines, we were feeding the public Jehovah's life-saving words. But guess what? Look at what your God Jehovah has done. Because you've gone down to one public issue of the Awake and Watchtower per year, since you're regurgitating, the dogs are returning to the vomit, you've got nothing new, but you can't figure that out. Why? Why? Amos 8, verse 11. Look, there are days coming, is the utterance of the sovereign Lord Jehovah, and I will send a famine into the land. A famine, not for bread, and a thirst, not for water, but for hearing the word of Jehovah. So now that you've gone down to one issue of the Wake and Watchtower for the public, guess what? Jehovah is causing this famine. And guess what? Because Caesar's coins have been continuously fed to your temples, that's why you are now aligning yourself with Satan's world, because you still need Caesar's coins to fill your fat bellies and to still continue to lie to people. But guess what, Jehovah's Witnesses? It's your God Jehovah that's causing this famine, because it's all about to come to the end for all of these Christian-based religions. They just don't see it yet.
Yeah. Now, before we close, I just want to mention, somebody sent me the link. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. And this is on bgdailynews.com. And we all know Chessa Manning. She is an ex-JW that was involved with a lot of protests and even had meetups and was kind of in the same area as Barbara Anderson. So, she was very well known. Mm-hmm. And anyway, she was arrested several months ago, but there's an update now that her and her boyfriend were indicted, and that now they have been charged, and Chessa also. And tomorrow, Tuesday, is going to be their arraignment. So...
Well, it's sad for the community, but at the same time, it's no different than what Lloyd Evans did. It's no different. A lot of these people that claim to be advocates for CSA are themselves part of the problem.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Unfortunately.
Yep, and that's just the nature of the beast, people.
Yeah. So, I want to thank everybody for watching. Thank you for liking and subscribing and all of your comments. We appreciate it very much. And we hope you have a wonderful week.
Bye.
Bye.